It's on like Donkey Kong on this week's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. How you guys all doing? My name is Charles Ray Dawson. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, and I am the Associate Broker and Residential Sales Manager for ProStar Realty, and this is episode 104. And if one was to take 104 and divide it by 2, you would get 52, which is the number of the weeks in the year. And it's a great little way to mathematically say this is our second year anniversary. So, yay us. I've been very proud in the last 2 years. I have not missed a Thursday drop. Definitely have phoned a couple in, and you can tell those episodes. It's like basically I'm just running by with myself. So, hi, bye. But yeah, and looking forward to the next year of this thing. You sit there and you sort of plot out, it's like, where is this all going? I could be like 97 years old there, in, what's that going to be, 45 years? Yeah, 45 years. Going, well, I remember back in the day when we used to have houses. We lived in houses with our own walls. We didn't have hives. We had yards. Yards were cool. You had stuff growing on the ground called grass, and you had to mow it, but you could walk through it with your bare feet, not sidewalk. And we also had gravity because we all still lived on the earth. It's a great place, great time. So that's going to be my podcast in 47 years or so, about like that. But until then, we're going to talk about here, now, 2023, the year of all years. Or at least I hope so. I've been having some fun so far this year. Yeah. Okay, so everybody on here who family members and friends who are just hearing about this, yes, I was actually down at the hospital yesterday. No, it wasn't for anything important, but for those of you who don't know, if you go to the VA for your medical and something ever comes up and you need to, hey, I could really have this looked at like this week, you're not going to get it from your primary care physician. At best, you might be able to call them up and schedule an appointment for months out there. So something came up, just basically heartburn. All right. But the VA hospital is so good that those emergency room docs and nurses are so great. You can walk in there with a heart attack and leave with a heartburn. That's not that I was having a heart attack or anything like that, but, I've been waking up in the middle of the night, with chest pains and whatnot. It's like, first time you do that, it's like, you're, I'm coming, Martha. You should have that sudden attack of mortality. And then you think it through. It's like, no, this is just heartburn. But when it's been happening there for over a month or so, you really should get that checked out. So what you do is you call your clinic, or in the VA's case, you go and secure, My Healthy Vet, right? Log in, then you send them a text basically going, hey guys, I'm waking up in the middle of the night with chest pains and whatnot. And of course, the nurse on there, who's only going to tell you one thing in anything, is like, get to the ER right now. So I figured if I was going to die of a heart attack in my sleep, it would have happened by now. So I did wind up going down there, and I just walked in and said, yeah, clinic sent me over. What the clinic sent you over? This. And next thing you know, they're just throwing the entire, kitchen sink at you and running tests and this and that. Because one, it's the VA, and they got like all of these labs and, all these other little clinics in there and stuff like that, who basically have nothing to do until ER sends them something. So they're always going, okay, just to humble brag, all right? If you wind up in any way, shape, or form getting VA healthcare benefits, if you think you might get VA, you might be eligible, go check it out. If you don't think you're eligible, but you served, check it out anyways. We're gonna cover that on the back end of this conversation here. But I've never ever. You never have to worry about, oh, well, the doc thinks you need this lab or you need this workup or you need this. Hold on, let's talk to your insurance company, because your insurance company is basically you guys out there, the American taxpayer. And the American taxpayer, all right, has underwritten my entire healthcare service. So, I walk in there and say, hey, I think I get this. Oh, yeah, well, let's do an MRI. It's like, okay, when do I come back for that? Oh, we'll just wheel you right over. Next thing you know, they take off all your metal and stuff like that. They ask you the greatest questions about MRIs at the VA hospital that you won't get anywhere else. Like, do you have any shrapnel or bullets that's still embedded in your body? I'm pretty sure you don't get that over at Banner. All right, pretty sure. And of course, when the nurse asks you that, do I have any shrapnel embedded in my body? Your first question is no. And then your second thought is, my God, what happens to somebody if you put them in an MRI machine and they have shrapnel in there? And I start giggling. She's like, why are you laughing? I said, because I just visualized what happens. And she goes, yeah, it's pretty bad. We shut down the machine, and admin starts yelling at us until we get it back cleaned up and back up. I'm like, all right, good to know. So long story short, I don't even know how I got off on this entire thing. I did get my first ER visit done out of the way this year. So hopefully my last one, but a couple things to note. Reoccurring chest pains when you're trying to sleep is usually a sign of GERD or any of these other things. There's pills for that. All right. That you need to start taking. All right. When you hit a certain age, like me, all right, you need, the little bumps and bruises and bounces just don't. I was watching a show the other night, and they had these kids just throwing themselves on the ground. Oh, look, I'm falling. Boom, and they throw themselves on the ground. When was the last time you actually voluntarily fell? If I was to throw myself on the ground with reckless abandon like I used to when I was 7 years old, it would take me 15 minutes to get back up. Right? I would have to roll over on my stomach, sort of do one of those push-ups on my knees, get my weight underneath me. I'm not even really that old. It's the mileage. All the joints don't work the way they used to. So, but enough about me. What do you think about me? Or what do you think about real estate? Let me tell you what you're supposed to think about real estate. And for those guys who are asking, I'm not heavily caffeinated today. I just missed you all. And I'm trying to be more entertaining. Are you not entertained? So, okay. So real estate. Let's talk about that stuff. Yes. As we've been predicting, as we've been saying, we are heading back into a seller's market. This week we crossed over. When we hit the numbers, you will see we are back in that seller's market. Let's go take a look at those real quick. And here are the numbers for January 25th, 2023. Actives this week are 15,858, down 184 from the previous week. New listings came in at 1,975, up 192. Contracts are at 2,432, which is up 266 from the previous week. And our closings were at 1,051. Coming soon to an MLS near you is 603 new listings. Our supply has dropped down to 66.7, so we're looking at 2 houses where there should be 3 houses for sale. And our buyers are out there looking at 75.2, so we have 3 buyers where we should have 4. But think of it this way. We have 752 buyers looking at 667 houses. This puts our Cromford report number at 112.7, which is, once again, into seller territory. So with Cromford report numbers of 112.7 pushing us into the seller's market, let's see how the local areas are doing individually. All right, so these are Cromford report numbers for individual towns and everything like that. Paradise Valley jumped up to the top. Remember, Paradise Valley is a bunch of rich people, so they don't really count in this equation. But that puts them jumping up to number 1, put Fountain Hills down into the number 2 position. They're up 5% month over month, and they're still sitting at 165. Chandler's at 143. Cave Creek is at 137. Scottsdale at 125. And Phoenix at 119. And with Glendale, Avondale, and Mesa all being above 110, these are all your seller's market. Remember, higher that number is, the stronger on the seller side it is. So, and that's a thing. I think Phoenix was right on the bubble, but now it's definitely into it. Remember, a month ago they were at 94, putting them in a balanced market, in the low end of the balanced market, because 90 is that other bracket taking you out of a balanced market into a buyer's market. So for our balanced markets on here, we're looking at Tempe's just right there at the top, Gilbert, Peoria, and Surprise at the bottom. All right, Surprise has moved into a balanced market from last month. Right there at 19% growth month over month. Big moving areas is still Chandler at 47 and Avondale at 44. Right, and then we're going to look at what's still in the buyer's market side of the house. Right, Goodyear, Queen Creek, Maricopa, and Buckeye. For you guys out there who are looking for deals, those are the areas where you're going to have most bang for your buck. You're also going to be driving. All right, but if you're in a position where you're working from home, you don't need to come into the big city or anything like that. Those are definitely going to be the areas you want to look at. So looking at the big market cycle, remember, everybody mentally is somewhere different on this cycle. All right. I'm over here into the hope category. All right. But as a real estate agent, I prefer a good balanced market. Now, I'd like to see more houses on the market, and I'd like to see more buyers out there, but that just comes in directly to my paycheck, right? Because there's more opportunities for me to do my job. And most people are on one side or the other. Now, you do have those people who are sitting, they're going to try to buy and sell at the same time, right? Balanced market works really good for them, right? But if you're in the seller's market, right, it's really easy to get your house sold, after you get the house you're buying under contract. In a buyer's or in a seller's market, or in reverse in a buyer's market, it's a little bit harder to get rid of your house after you found the house that you want. But we see this market cycle, all right, where are we going to be? Definitely moving out of despair. Unless, now we're going to get to a little bit of local news and media commentary from Tina over at Cromford. Right? And very rarely do you ever see her call out a news article, but she called one out, came out the other day, right? And there was, just to hit the highlights and everything, there was a news story that came out from Fox Business News on the 25th, right? And it was sitting there and discussing doom and gloom, and they were quoting Goldman Sachs, right? Which is pretty high level name. We all know about them. But this particular news article came out and it was saying that Goldman Sachs was expecting home values to worsen in 2023. All right, amid continued skyrocketing interest rates and declining housing prices. All right, so and they're also saying that Phoenix, Arizona is probably going to see a noticeable increase before drastic decreases of more than 25%. Doom, gloom, all right? So this was our comments on that, all right? We did see skyrocketing interest rates of second and third quarter last year, all right? We did see an impact of that from May 2022, which was our high point, down to the end of the year. And things came down about 13%, although it was only down 3% year over year. Remember, we were still growing into May, and then we started to come down off of that. And that was because of the interest rate flux. Now, everybody out there right now is saying interest rates are continuing to go down. The Fed is sitting there really seriously signaling that they're going to do another 0.25% hike in February 1st coming up here very shortly. In fact, we'll probably be talking about that next week, won't we? Anyways, so with the mortgage rates, and they're already back down into the fives, guys. They're already back down on the fives. I saw a 5.5 quoted yesterday. All right, my rate sheet that I'm getting from some of these lenders who send it out every morning are already saying in the fives with just a couple points to buy down. So we're coming down. We're never going to see threes again. All right, I really don't think we're ever going to see threes again. All right, but we're back down into the fives and the fours and fives where we've been working at for pretty much since the crash. All right, should have had that historical out there, but we've come back down. We've got the spike. All right, now we're working out of that. And so, they were calling out this Goldman Sachs and Fox News article because it's literally contradicting itself in the middle of the article. All right, I love it when people do that, all right? Because, Goldman Sachs numbers that they've been forecasting, they were talking November going down to 5, and then in December they're all saying, oh no, it's going to be a 6.2, and then in January they're saying now it's going to be 6.5, although everybody else is still continuing on with the 5 thing. So Goldman Sachs, are they really, are they tracking it right? And then once again, is Fox Business News, the reporter who's writing this article, understanding what Goldman Sachs is actually saying when they're writing their article? And hey, clickbait's a profitable business, so let's see what's continued on with that. But like I said, very rarely do I ever see Cromford Report call out an individual article by name and say, this is why they're wrong. I said somebody, a client of mine, share a video off of YouTube last week that was talking about, somebody was talking about the big crash of 2023. And going through this, once again, you always have these people who are going to sit there and look at the crash of '08 and All they do is they just look at the numbers and they just sit there and they go, oh, look, line go up, line go down, line must go down after line go up. And, they'll sit there and explain that, but they're not breaking down into, how many houses are vacant? How many houses are being underutilized? Is there a housing shortage? What the interest rates are? Right? Are the builders overbuilding past the point? All right. Everything that we saw back there in 06, 07, and going into 08, we're still not seeing today. Right? Builders are backing off of building, but they're backing off of building because they have a very long, you don't just build a house today and put it on the market tomorrow. They have to plan out a couple quarters in advance. Right. So anything that you're seeing reports about where, housing starts today being slow is because people weren't putting the applications for building permits back in September and October when we were looking at 6% interest rates and it looked like it was going higher. Make sense? So as I say, get your news from multiple sources, including not just me. Go out there and listen to other people on that. And, when you sit there and you're going to hear that one big I did notice that this particular YouTube channel was really, really big in having you spend money, investing money. And I guarantee you, they weren't interested in you investing money in real estate. They're interested in you investing your money in, I think it was fractional artworks, something like that. I'm not saying that these guys are wrong. I'm just saying that their argument doesn't hold up water compared to the other numbers and data that we use in real estate to tell whether or not we're projecting a crash. Because for every person out there who tells you, oh, nobody ever saw 08 coming, a lot of people did. All right. We knew there was going to be that correction coming up just because of the ARMs. The adjusted rate mortgages. We knew those were coming due in 07. And we knew the interest rates had gotten up to the point that I'm not sure if these people are going to qualify to refinance their house, and now they're going to be in trouble because that new rate's going to come in and they're not going to qualify for the payment at the existing rates, and now they're going to be in trouble because their income hadn't grown that much. All right. Now, I did hear earlier this week some article where they were talking about because of the 2-1 buy downs and the 3-2-1 buy downs, how that is basically going to be the same thing as adjustable rate mortgage. And so all of a sudden the interest rates are going to go up, and so your payments are going to go up. That is correct and incorrect at the same time. And the reason why it is correct and incorrect at the same time is it's correct that, yes, your interest rates change, but back with those ARMs, the adjustable rate mortgages, the buyer didn't have to qualify at the new rate that it was turning into. They only had to qualify at the existing rate. And lenders weren't really good at making sure people qualified for the loan in the first place. Nowadays, if you do a 2-1 buy down or a 3-2-1 buy down, it lowers your payment because you're paying less interest on the first year, but you still have to qualify at point of purchase for what that rate is eventually going to grow into. Right? And they're doing that so we don't see what happened back there with the ARMs. Make sense? We actually did learn our lesson on a lot of things. Buyers didn't, and sellers didn't, but hey, the professionals, we learned our lessons. So, all right, I think that's just about it. I have talked a lot. Sounds like Steve just showed up at the front door and stuff like that, and I need to go talk to him. And thank you guys very much for watching this episode, 2nd year anniversary episode. And thanks for sticking around. And share this with your friends and family if they like to see some guy just babble, for 15, 20 minutes randomly. All right. Or anybody that you know who may be buying or selling. And especially for those people who I'm not going to buy now. I'm going to wait for the crash. That crash is going to happen. I'm going to pick up your house for pennies on the dollar. Yeah, you go get him, kid. Because I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But what do I know? I'm just a real estate guy. Watch your kids and pets around the water. Have a great weekend. Work your circles.